I'd love to hear your perspective on what is data, since you have really studied it. And so when you hear the word data, what is it that comes to your mind? What is your perspective?
So listeners can imagine a doorstep, and there's a person on one side, they're knocking on the door, and then somebody else opens it, and they're coming together, and one of those people is holding a piece of paper. It's got a bunch of questions on it. And that nexus, that interface is, for me, like the vision that I want at the center of anyone who's thinking about, like, what is a data set, or what does data mean? Because you can think about the kind of entire process as that is like the central point. Because here you've got, no matter what's happening, whether you're on a web form, whether you're answering a survey, there's some set of questions that somebody somewhere set out as like, these are the things we think we want to know. Mm-hmm. And then there's this process of trying to interpret it, to get the world, or that person on the other side of the doorstep, to fit into those forms. And somebody's got to do that work. That somebody might be a real person, that somebody might be the person answering the questions themselves, who's trying to figure out, like, which one of these applies to me? That somebody could be like a sensor, a mechanical sensor, an AI system trying to figure out how to, they're going to try and take the real world, stuff it into those existing acceptable categories, and then send that all off somewhere else, away from the doorstep, where there's going to be these processes of the people who go and say, like, oh, now how do we make sense of this? Take this like wild and crazy world and refit it back into what we consider to be acceptable set of categories, so that we can then generate something like reliable numbers, which won't be a perfect depiction of the world, right? Just as no written description is a perfect description of the world, but it'll provide us some new and interesting way, and hopefully a useful way, of seeing that world outside of us.
Yeah, and Charlie, I want to just sit here and elbow him now, because he knows how much I love this. What you said is just, that pivotal point of, you're trying to capture what's happening inside that home, and you're doing your best with the questions, or what you think is the best way to capture it, and that's the data that you're getting. And that's what data is, right? It's just trying to capture whatever reality you see at that moment, and it's the best that you can do with the tools that you have. And you saying it's not perfect, it's literally, what I say is the worst part and the beauty of data is that it's not perfect. And when we start to embrace that, we can make better decisions, because, it's a way to enhance our decisions as opposed to be the decision, right?